Today, we have a very interesting topic. We asked our audience what investing mistakes they have made in the past. The first question, I lost money on a single stock.
I mean, that's why we always talk about diversification, right?
Yeah.
And I think if you hold a number of shares, like one is going to do badly, some are going to do badly, some are going to do well, right?
I took the first step in learning, but didn't do anything.
What happens to a lot of people is that they've got the intention and then they start the process, but the process of investing is very complicated, right? On some platforms. And that's what we're trying to make a lot easier.
I'm investing without understanding what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. Are there any resources?
I mean, we've got some great resources. I mean, we release blog content, all the time on different topics.
I can't stick to a budget.
It's nothing worse than having a budget and you don't follow it and you just lose motivation and then you stop.
How do you create your own budget?
I mean, for me, it's just making sure I know whether...
Welcome to another episode of Frankly Speaking. I'm Anelisa Maswana, the Associate Product Manager at Franc, and today joining me on the couch.
Hi guys, I'm Patel, COO and co-founder at Franc.
Thank you for joining me today, Seb. I don't think we've been on opposite side of the couch, so this is the first. And today we have a very interesting topic. So we had a question box on our Instagram and we asked our audience what investing mistakes they have made in the past or present. And Seb will help me unpack those today. So he'll be the expert because I'm also looking at those questions and responses. I also need some advice. Before we start though, I'm going to give you 2 seconds to subscribe to Frankly Speaking and give this episode a thumbs up if you've been enjoying our Frankly Speaking episodes. So Seb, the first question, or rather the first response is, I lost money on a single stock.
Cool. So, I mean, that's why we always talk about diversification, right?
Yeah.
I think if you hold a number of shares, like one is going to do badly, some are going to do badly, some are going to do well, right? But I think in this scenario, this person probably just bought one share and thought, this was going to be it for them, and it did badly. Many people are not experts. They don't know what stocks to pick. That's why we say rather invest in a diversified ETF, which gives you exposure to either local stocks or offshore stocks so that you don't need to then stock pick. But yeah, if you're going to just throw a dart and hope the one that you picked did well, it's like a 50-50 chance, right? Maybe you pick something that does really well, maybe you pick something that does very badly, but the point is, most people are not experts. That's why they should be investing in something that's more diversified as opposed to a single stock. But at least they started. It was just maybe, they heard something around a braai or they heard something on Twitter. That's why they invested invest in this, and that's why that's why it didn't work out.
And on the topic of diversification, if you don't know much about investing and you want to start out and you hear the term diversify, where do you even start? What would be the first place you'd need to look at to diversify your portfolio?
Yeah, it depends what you have to start with, right? I mean, so diversify just means, have eggs in don't have all your eggs in one basket. So we always talk about building up your emergency fund first. So if you've got an emergency fund already, then what you should do is try to build up your wealth and have money in equity. So that's exposure to the stock market. And that's probably a mix of, local exposure to something in the local stock market as well as some international exposure.
Not to punt Frank here, but we do have quite the same sort of strategy at Franc. You can basically diversify your portfolio by picking a strategy and we do it for you, basically, which is pretty cool because that's how I think I started diversifying my portfolio. I didn't know much about it, but now I do. And the next one is I didn't carry through with investing. I took the first step in learning, but didn't do anything. I think you have the intention, you want to invest, but, maybe you lose the momentum. I think this is what this person is really referring to. So do you have any tips?
Well, at least they started the learning process, right? Because that's important. And I think what happens to a lot of people is that they've got the intention and then they start the process, but the process of investing is very complicated, right? On some platforms, and that's what we're trying to like make a lot easier. So if you go into a platform and you see a lot of choice, or you see a lot of shares, or it's difficult to navigate, then obviously you're going to lose interest. So that's kind of one of the big barriers that we're trying to break down, is to make it easy. So that for that same person, if they've like done the initial learning and they come onto Franc and it's an easy process, then it's more likely that they will actually start their journey. So short answer there is like, download Franc and start.
And on that, I feel like for me personally, setting like a goal, like having a goal in mind, is what keeps the momentum going, because I know what I want to invest towards, and I obviously want to reach that goal. Would you also say having something that you know that you want to put money towards or invest towards would actually help you with that?
Yeah, I think you need to have a reason why you are investing, right? If you don't know why, then it's going to be more difficult to motivate. When things get tough and you've got that extra couple $100, like are you going out, or are you putting it into your investment account? Yeah? So you kind of need to have that kind of long term, like to know what it's contributing towards.
Yeah, so have a goal in mind. So you've already done the groundwork. You've already done looking at the resources and educating yourself about investing. Now the next step is to setting a goal and just putting money away. So you're almost there. You just need to take the next step. Okay, cool. The next one is I'm investing without understanding what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And I think it actually touches nicely on the one we just previously discussed. In terms of like resources, I know like financial literacy is a problem in South Africa. You obviously all want to put money away and, have retirement annuity, and everyone wants to have like wealth in terms of putting money away and just having an emergency fund, but they just don't know where to start. They don't understand it. Are there any resources?
I mean, we've got some great resources. We release blog content, all the time on different topics, but the more like educational resource maybe is our academy, which is written content, video content. I mean, this person spoke about not knowing what they were doing and also not knowing why.
Why, yeah.
So like we spoke to the why before. They need to know like what they're investing towards and why, like what the goal is. But it's also important to kind of understand what you're doing. Otherwise, just going into something blindly, it's going to be very difficult to kind of sustain that. Because one of the other things that often happen to people that don't know too much about investing is that they make an investment into the stock market, whether it's an ETF or unit trust or whatever, and then something happens and the market goes down, and then they kind of panic and they sell, right? So like the 100 Rand that they put in is now 95 or 90, and they're like, no, this is not for me. I'm selling. But the thing is, with something like the stock market, it does go up and down. You need to have like a very long term mindset, to at least 3 years, or preferably kind of 7 to 10, so that you can ride out the ups and downs of the stock market. But if you don't understand that's kind of how it works, then you're gonna panic and sell. I mean, that's kind of what happened. COVID, like the markets dropped by like 40-50%. A lot of people panicked, a lot of people sold, but like now the market is like much higher than what it was pre-COVID, so if you stuck it out, you'd have done well. And with us, it's also important now that we've released a Bitcoin product that's even more volatile than the stock market, So like the risk quiz that we've got for people, like we ask them like, what's your intention? How long do you expect to be invested in this product? And if you tell us like, okay, no, a few days, then we kind of tell you, we don't think this product is for you, because you need to have like a very long-term mindset, especially with Bitcoin kind of, where it's gone up over time, but it's also like shown like huge drops.
And I think I personally experienced this when I first learned about crypto, and obviously there was like a whole hype around it, and the markets were like forming well. Everyone was putting their money in crypto, and I saw the drop and my money like just disappeared, which made me panic and obviously withdraw the money that I had left. But I like now in hindsight, if I left it there, could have made me more money.
Yeah, you'd have done well.
Yeah, so regrets there. But that is like a very valid point. Understand that markets are going to go up and down, and you need to, do the long-term game. So that's a good one to keep in mind every time you see your investment not perform as well as you'd want it to be. Okay, cool. The next one, I can't stick to a budget. This one is a very personal one to me as well. I set very unrealistic budgets when I do set one, and then I obviously, because it's so unrealistic, I end up like dipping into the money that I'm actually supposed to be saving. And yeah, it's something I struggle with. Do you have any tips for me, asking for me and for our audience struggling with the same?
Well, I think you answered your own question. I think it needs to be realistic, right? Because if it's not realistic and you're not going to follow through, then it's pointless following. I mean, we always talk about the 50-30-20 principle. So maybe try and work off that, 50% to the needs, 30% to the wants, and 20% to like saving, investing, and repaying debts, and kind of just like use that as a template and just see how far it gets you. Because I mean, it's nothing worse than having a budget and you don't follow it and you just lose motivation and then you stop.
True. And I think another thing that I've noticed is that if I actually go and revisit my budget like throughout the month, I actually remind myself, okay, actually this is where this money is supposed to go. I need to be more mindful, like just to not get off track. So I think that's something else that's helped me on the times that I've actually, seen it through and actually followed the budget. How do you create your own budget? If you do you have any tools?
Yeah, kind of just, I mean, for me, it's just making sure I know where my money's going. I mean, it's as simple as that. I mean, I use a spreadsheet. Nothing,
finance guys?
Nothing too complicated.
Excel.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I find Excel, she's very boring. I can't do it. But yeah, there are some budgeting tools out there. I know I use 22/7 currently. But yeah, you can use an Excel if you think it's easier. I think making a budget is really just about the intention. It's really not more about the tools, but like the intention to want to know, like, okay, where is my money going? Seb, thank you for joining me on the couch today. I think hopefully, well, I can speak for myself that those tips were very helpful and something that I will also consider when it comes to my investment journey to keep in mind. And I hope for our viewers, you find those insightful. If you have any other mistakes or you need help with anything, please leave us a comment. Leave us an orange heart if we've answered any of the mistakes that you have experienced with your investing journey in the past. But for now, we'll see you on the next episode.
Cheers.